future is now.
Broadcasting from the Queen City, breaking down business, leadership, community, and family. Here's your host, the president and CEO of the Northern Cincinnati Foundation, Aaron Satzker.
The future is now.
We are coming to you today from Liberty Center, Ohio. I have the absolute pleasure of talking today with Dave Goodwin, the CEO of ATC, and Nick Enger, the CTO.
Thanks for having us.
I wanted to dive in kind of right away on ATC and how you guys started. How was this company born? I want to hear that story.
Working for an international long-distance company. They did an acquisition, and management did a terrible job of integrating that, and new management came in and cut the comp plan, as you hear so often with big companies. I saw the models on the new comp plan on a Monday, and I resigned on a Friday. And a couple months later, I think 3 months later, in October of 1999, founded ATC, Advanced Technology Consulting.
You would never cut a comp plan on your team.
No.
Yes.
No, it's a great point. No,
Yeah.
That's not how we do anything. Everything we do is with the intent of being able to scale it, continue it, be in parallel with our clients, be in parallel with our employees.
Mm-hmm.
So at no point in time is there kind of that intersection of good, bad, win, lose. We try to create everything so that it's win-win.
I think that's a very healthy work environment. So Nick, when did you join the ATC team?
It's a pretty funny story. It goes back to 2006. I was a junior in college. I was working actually at Heritage Club in Mason, Ohio, where David is a member. I worked there from, let me think back, 1996 to 2006. I was working in the men's grill, speaking with David, talking about I need an internship for the summer. Mm-hmm. And asking, because I knew he was in technology but didn't really understand what he did, asked if he had an internship available. And he thought for a minute, and he's thinking, yeah, we probably could use somebody, but at the time it was him and one other person working out of the basement of his house. So I started as an intern my junior year before my senior year, and loved the technology, loved the consulting aspect of it. Thought they had something that I kind of latched onto. So I ended up working there the summer of my junior year, and then my full senior year. Left working at Heritage Club completely. And then I graduated college and had a decision to make. I had offers from the P&Gs and the GEs of the world, mm-hmm. and then ATC, working out of the basement of the house, of David's house. And that was, there were some interesting conversations with my parents. I have to convince them that, yes, this is the right thing to do. But looking back, hindsight 2020, this was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I kind of want you to walk me through the attraction to a small business. I mean, obviously, I think, and for the listeners' sake, that it's a great way to go. You know, there's so much more equity and growth potential if you are working together as a team and building something. So talk me through or walk me through that decision. What was that like?
For me, it was pretty easy. I love technology from the jump, so I gravitated towards it anyway. I thought they had something new and different and special, and something that the market just didn't understand yet. And thinking back and looking at those big firms like the Procter & Gamble's and the GEs, and I was kind of jaded with the college model, because you go to these universities and they're pitching you on how great these big companies are, and I'm being pitched by these big companies. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but from a managerial training program that was going to last 6 or 7 years.
That's right.
It's hard to make an impact at those organizations, where in a smaller organization, you have the ability to walk out the door each day and be like, I made an impact today. I created new revenue sources. I helped a client succeed in their business. At the end of the day, you can look back and say, I made an impact. And I think that's what I like seeing. I like doing. I like seeing the impacts that we make on our local community and the local businesses. And as the company has grown, one of the most fulfilling things in my role now is seeing the development of the new employees. Like seeing that they're getting excited about making those impacts and seeing their progressions in their own careers. I couldn't trade it for the world. I couldn't imagine going to a large organization where I just become a number.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. So when you joined the team, there were 3 of you, it sounds
3
like.
amigos. Yep.
Okay. So now how many do you guys have on the team?
As of today, we have 18. We have a couple open positions. Looking
That's
for
amazing.
good talent here in the Liberty Township, Westchester area. We have a good story to tell, and over the past 3 to 4 years, it's been on that hockey stick growth.
Well, I can say as running the Northern Cincinnati Foundation that ATC has a tremendous amount of community involvement. And we really look to those local leaders that are stepping up and working hard to give back in the community. And so I guess let's highlight a little bit about why do you think both of you have been so involved in the community? Is it part of that also growth strategy, like helping out the local community helps you to grow? Or really, what's the why there?
Well, I've said many times in the past are we making more or doing better because we're giving more? Or the other way around, sorry. Are we giving more because, I don't think I could butcher it anymore, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, I think it's that approach to just life in general, what we instill in the employees, how we conduct our own lives, that we're doing better as a result of, I think, some of the good that we're doing in the community, not giving more to the community because we're doing good, but the alternative, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the way. For me, it's very simple. It goes back to my schooling. I went to a Jesuit high school. I went to a Jesuit? Brebeuf.
Where is that?
82nd or 86th and Michigan Road.
Okay.
It's been a long time. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then I went to Xavier University, also a Jesuit school. And those things are, they're just weaved into your very fabric there. So that's where it started for me. I don't really know. I just has always felt like the right thing to do. And as the business has grown, we just continue to do more of it. And it's treated us well. So we'll keep doing it until maybe something changes.
No, it's great. I think you've done a tremendous job, both of you, as leaders in this southwestern Ohio region and frankly, and beyond. Really an incredible impact. So let's talk a little bit about how the company's grown, and what your focus is. For our listeners, what does ATC do? What are your specialties? And then, how has it grown over those years from 3 to 18? Can you guys walk me through that?
Well, we could both do that. You pitch it every day. I'll let you go.
Yeah, so we're a next generation IT technology consulting firm. Professional services. We go to market providing hands-on consulting expertise in our 4 core areas. And those 4 core areas are voice, network, cloud, and security. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anybody in the country that goes in as deep as we do with subject matter expertise in those 4 core areas anywhere in the country. We've created an ecosystem in which we are bringing people together from the IT community as well as people to technology solutions that within the ecosystem, you begin to educate yourself, begin to educate each other, begin to network with others of like-minded next generation technologists. It's an exciting thing to see because, as I mentioned earlier, there's not many folks going about it the way we go about it, and that the way we go about it is incredibly client-centric, where it has to be the exact right solution for the client. It's not the other way around. I think a lot of times nowadays when you're trying to figure out all of these technology vendors and all of these solutions, and you get stuck in the sales cycle. You have to meet with all of these different vendors and figure it out yourself as a CIO or CTO of an organization, where we come in and help clear the pathway and just give you that expertise and that vision of what the right solution, the right pathway, not only for right now, but 3, 5, 10 years from now. And the way we've kind of built that out is we don't leave the client ever. Like, we want to be tied at the hip. Their success is our success and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think if I could dovetail on that, we have vendors all over the country. We probably have access to 400 or 500 different vendors. They're in here regularly. You've been in here. You've seen the vendors that come in, and they're constantly educating. We're learning from them, and they're telling us that they have partners like us all over the country, and they say that we're doing something uniquely different and, quite frankly, better in their assessment. I'd be partial, but those are like third-party testimonials that seeing all these partners across the country, we're routinely hearing how we're doing something different. I think a lot of it is, if I could go to our vision statement, right, which is the exact right solution through expertise, process, and partnerships. Mm-hmm. Think about everything Nick just said, right?
Yeah.
It's the expertise, it's the partnerships that we have with all of our vendors. And the only thing he didn't mention there, but it's a big part of what we do, is our process. Like, our process is just different. And there are some people that want to have a process now because it sounds really good, or maybe because they see that we're doing it. There's a difference between that and maybe a decade of refining what that process looks like, and the attention to detail and the deliverables and the outcomes associated with it. I think that, and we have a freaking awesome team. I mean, we really do.
You guys really do. I will say, Northern Cincinnati Foundation utilizes your services. You guys have been phenomenal. I think the thing I find most inspirational about your leadership is that it is it seems like a very healthy workplace. And I get to meet with CEOs all over the region, very large corporations, smaller businesses that have really grown in the past, 10 years. And everybody is really happy here. They're excited to come to work. What do you think, as a leader, you guys have done to inspire that workplace, like that healthy workplace environment?
Yeah, it's something that we work on all the time. We always, in our leadership meetings, we talk about how can we create a better culture. And I would say, like, we've created this culture that, and it was a blog post the other day that came across on LinkedIn, talking about reaching across the aisle to help out your colleague. In my eyes, in my lens, the worst thing in the world that I could hear within our organization is, "That's not my job." That's a terrible statement.
Yeah,
that is a terrible
statement around here.
Right.
That doesn't. That would be. That can't happen here. So we've created an ecosystem where people will reach across the aisle to help each other out, and we've created an ecosystem where it's not just a job. So much right now in the millennial generation coming up, it seems like they're going to jump ship every 3 years just to take a pay raise or take a new job to build that resume. I can say pretty confidently that the folks in this room, they aren't looking at it as a job. They're looking at it as a career. And that's huge nowadays. You don't hear that out of anybody that's coming up through the ranks.
No, I think that is such a problem at different companies, businesses. Just like you said, the millennials and the younger generations are thinking about 1 to 2 year timeline, and that's it. And I look at my career, and I do find that I'm an anomaly in that sense, because I was with John Boehner for 7 years and almost 10 years at the Northern Cincinnati Foundation, and I love it. And I think if you love it, then you stick around. It's like this healthy workplace where you're building something, and I see that with you guys, and I just don't always see that. So I have to commend and applaud you guys for that.
Well, thank you. I'm 39. I've been here going on 18 years.
That's incredible.
And I love sitting across, because we have interns each year. I love interviewing the interns where I say, I've sat in your shoes. I've been in that interview seat as an intern at this company. There's no reason why you couldn't stay here your entire career and land in the CTO position.
Right.
We're going to give you that pathway. It's on you to do the work. Mm-hmm. And so much nowadays, I feel, is I have to move companies to move up. And that, again, going back to our culture, that's not the case here.
Yeah. And I think we have a deep-rooted high, super high ethical standards. And I don't mean that from just, everybody can say, we have ethics, but I mean ethics from not only what we do and how we treat our customers and how we think about them and try to put ourselves in their shoes. That really just carries right over to the employees as well. It's the same thing. We will regularly sit in our ELT or executive leadership meetings and ask, okay, what are we doing in this scenario? And have we done our due diligence all across the board? And we want to do that maybe, but can we financially do that? Or is it the right thing to do? Or are we setting a precedent? But we're literally taking anything that anybody brings to us and we try to put ourselves in their shoes. And I think whether you're doing that as for a client or for the employees, it just takes you back to your ethics of, kind of do unto others as they would do unto you, kind of going back to my Jesuit stuff. But I think that,
which is okay to say.
It
You
is.
can say that.
I just think it's really that kind of guiding light. Like we don't make snap decisions. We don't do things that are obviously always best financially for us,
Right.
or easiest for us. But if it's the right thing to do, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to. We just really don't take any shortcuts along the way. But
I think that's a really great thing. So I'm going to lighten the mood here in the podcast and get to know you guys a little bit better as a person and for our listeners as well. So one question I like to ask the CEOs that we have on and leadership teams that we have on is, how do you start your day, Dave? So starting with you and then Nick, I want to hear, how do you begin your day before you come to the office? What's your routine?
So, because I'm a little older now,
Yeah, it changes.
it depends.
Yeah.
Was that an excuse?
It
Was there an excuse to
little bit.
start the answer?
It is right from the get-go. So I had rotator cuff surgery and I had a dislocated bicep. I had surgery back on March 30th. To kind of fast forward, I went through PT and now I'm in what's called this Bridge program, which Bridge is basically post physical therapy and to get you kind of back on the field, whether that's playing golf again or whatever it is that you want to be able to play. Physical therapy just gets you to where you can do your daily stuff.
Right.
But if you want to play anything or compete at anything, it doesn't take you to that. So I do that on Mondays and Fridays. So I'm up, I'm on email, I have breakfast, I get ready and have breakfast. That changes. And then I'll go to Bridge and then it's a workout with a trainer doing specific things with bands, range of motion, a lot of activating small muscles to kind of prevent injury in the future and things like that, which I have loved. Because probably the closest I've been back to being in shape in a long time. Still got a ways to go, but after I get done with that, I get on the treadmill. After I get done on that, and during and mixed in, I'm on email. I'm on our internal messaging platform with the employees. I'm on text messages. I'm on phone calls. The work never stops. It might just get put on pause while I'm doing something else.
Right.
Then I go back home on those Mondays and Fridays. I get ready, and about 50% of the time I'll come into the office, and the other 50 I'll work from the house. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday's different because we have a team meeting, so I'm usually up earlier. Again, I grab my phone. I'm up on email. It's kind of like, think of your parents probably. What is the first thing? I can't speak for your dad, but maybe I can. What was the first thing he did in the morning? Go out, get the newspaper?
Yes.
Potentially?
Yes.
Bring it in?
Right.
Scour the newspaper.
Yes.
That's me on my home screen, right?
Right.
Whether I'm checking bank accounts or I'm checking email or I'm
He still
checking.
does that, by the way.
I don't do the paper, but
He
it's
does
my
the paper,
it's my equivalent of the
Yeah.
paper. So it almost every Monday through Friday starts that way. Just some are a little bit earlier than others.
That makes sense, and I think that's a really healthy routine. I also like how the tech industry is probably different. You guys know you can work anywhere,
Anytime.
at any time, at any place. And I have to say that I love that too about Northern Cincinnati Foundation. If I need to hop on an email, after my children go to sleep, I can. Or if
a
I
Zoom
wake up
call.
at 5,
Yeah.
you can. And I love that about today's work environment, is that you're able to do that. You're able to bend around whatever that schedule is. So I love that. I'm sure that's a part of your culture because you guys can work from anywhere.
It is. I would say I would not teach anybody my way.
Yeah.
It's just like I could be working all the time, or I could be taking times. And I think maybe some young folks haven't had. Like at the end of the day, I have 24 hours and I have to get done a certain amount of things, right?
Yeah.
And some of them can't be done after hours because you need to be
Right.
face to face with people that you need to be
That's
face to face with, in
That's true.
person or virtually. So some of that stuff can't be done, but I'm working at like hours that I wouldn't expect. I couldn't ask anybody else.
Do that.
And not everybody else is going to have that owner's mentality of I'm getting the work done no matter what.
Well, I think
It's
it goes with that.
That's something we've had to work on internally is the expectations. I mean, as we've come out of COVID, there was boundaries that were crossed there. People were working out of their homes. They were working. There was burnout rate of hey, I don't have that separation of work and home life. And now that we've transitioned back to mainly in person with some flexible work hours and work from home policies, it's something we still struggle with of just how much do you put in at the office and how much do you put in outside of the office. I think a lot of organizations are still trying to figure that out.
I think so too. I think it is. And they are finding that people do burn out, and you do have to have that flexibility. And I think you see that from the millennial generation kind of starting that new trend, right? Where companies used to say, okay, I own you Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have no time with your family, and we have this many things that need to happen on the weekend. I think those organizations are losing people.
Yeah,
you know?
I would also say, like in our world, we're in a technology business. Technology never sleeps.
That's so
it's
true.
Always
it's a good
on.
Point.
So if our clients are having issues with the technology, you have to be readily available to support them.
And we have customers across 3 time zones.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that.
I was going to say, 3 time zones domestically, but then we have some, not as many that we typically have to answer to, but we still have to sometimes open up tickets and babysit tickets or trouble tickets for some international sites that would extend hours even further. But on a day-to-day basis, you're looking at, we're covering from East Coast to West Coast.
Wow.
So 8 o'clock, somebody there around 5 o'clock it's just 5 o'clock there, but it's 8 o'clock here. Right. But sometimes those things, people come to us because they're going to get a different level of service. So sometimes that means you got to be.
I'm sure it does, and I'm sure you guys have it all worked out. You know where maybe it rotates. Who knows?
Always
it's
progressing.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So Nick, tell me about your routine in the mornings. How do you start your day?
So I'm younger, so I can wake up earlier.
Yes.
Sure. Although one of us typically works a little later than the other one. No one knows who that is, though.
Oh, really? I'm guessing it's Dave, by the way.
No, I wouldn't say I would say he's in the office.
Yeah.
He's typically in the office later than I am. I don't really know what he does. I think we both work a lot at home.
You guys,
it's not something that you could ask employees to do. We just happen to have the energy, and maybe we have a little bit greater stake because we own it. So it is a little bit different.
100% you do. I think you both embody that entrepreneurial spirit. Takes a ton of grit. And then also you're both high achievers, right? And so I think you have to have a few screws loose up there, guys, to want to be around the clock driving. And I think that's the high achiever personality in general. I could be guilty of having some screws loose and working.
But I echo all of that.
Yeah.
But it's also the passion.
Yes, the passion.
Like you have to really enjoy what you do and think that you're doing it in a way that's different than anybody else is doing it, to have that drive, to have that willingness to wake up in the morning and really push it forward. I mean, it's still work, right? Like there's still conversations that are difficult. There's still decisions that are difficult. But at the end of the day, if you're passionate about it, it gets you up the next day and you're excited to come in.
It's true. So tell me, walk us through your routine. We keep interrupting him.
His will be more routine.
We have to let him speak. Okay, go ahead.
So I wake up in the 4:45 each morning. I have 2 rescue Weimaraners that I take care of in the morning, feed them, and let them outside. So if you're thinking about rescuing Weimaraners, stop with 1.
Okay.
You should only rescue 1. The second one's a problem. After that, I'll do emails for about 30, 45 minutes, just catch up because we are 24/7. It doesn't matter how late you work. You wake up in the morning and you're going to come into an onslaught of emails to catch up on.
Sure.
So I try to clear my email out and then I'll go work out. I'll typically work out from 6:30, 6:15 till about 8 o'clock, in here by 8:30-ish. But yeah, that's my morning routine. 4 miles a day keeps the doctor away. But
that's pretty impressive.
It might get you a chiropractor.
I think or a boot or something like that. But I think that's a good routine. I know myself, I'm an early bird as well, not a late night owl at all. I mean, I missed the whole Bengals game yesterday. It was a Monday night, late night football, and I went to bed at like 9:30.
Yeah.
So, but I like to get up at 5. So
Get the
I
workout
appreciate
in.
that.
Gotta
Yeah,
get
you
the
get the
workout
workout in, and it's before my kids are awake. I go to my basement, and it's
Get my
just
workout in.
a
It's
little
just
bit
a little
of
bit
peace.
later is all.
I think that's okay.
I will tell you, I have out of as I've gotten a little bit older and try to get out of the day to day as much as I used to be, which has been a struggle in and of itself. Just to, am I working and I'm not working? Should I be in there? What's the message I'm saying? There's so much like you can go back and forth in your head. But a lot of guidance, a lot of mentors that have helped me, learn. You got to get out. Like you can't be there. People have to figure stuff out.
Right.
You can be there to help them out. But anyway. I spend a lot more time walking, actually.
It's so healthy for you.
Outside.
There's so many studies on
I
what
love being
walking
outside.
does for you.
Yeah.
Let's chat more about your internship, Nick, and how that led you to like the path to an equity member at ATC. Talk about what.
It's been a long road.
Yes.
Let me to give you an idea. So when I first joined the organization, it was the 3 amigos, as I mentioned, and it was really supporting Dave. Dave was a salesperson at the time. He was out selling, cultivating relationships, uncovering new opportunities, and ultimately there was another individual that was assisting with those opportunities, and I was there just to pick up the pieces. Like his plate got full, it spilled onto my plate. And I was learning the business behind the scenes, supporting the clients, and I learned really early on, like it's not necessarily sales. You're helping these clients and to get them to a more efficient, more effective state. And I really liked helping people, right? Like I gravitated towards it. And with that, it was, well, I have relationships. I like talking with people. So I went out and I started talking with people and started networking with people. And the way the organization was structured, David gave us the ability, if we had our own relationships, that we could create our own revenue sources within the company. Very entrepreneurial mindset, even back then. So with that, I went out and it was very early on in cloud-based communications, hosted voice over IP, and I was helping clients with phone systems, for lack of a better phrase, phone systems, new and improved phone systems. And I had a knack for it. And I started helping more and more clients and started building my own business within the business. David was still doing his own thing and had his support mechanisms underneath him. Fast forward a few years, I was having a pretty good amount of success early in my career where I needed some support mechanisms behind me. So even though it was my own client base within ATC, ultimately it all rolled up to David. And then he had his clients. Well, it's probably about six or so years ago where I had a whole bunch of clients and some resources underneath me that were essentially my employees, and then David did. But we realized pretty quickly nobody was cross-pollinated. We couldn't support each other. Nobody could take a vacation because we were all working too hard. So we broke down some of those silos between David and myself, and created what we call now as the super support team and the Delta team that help out our mutual clients. So we broke down the silos, and that worked incredibly well. It allowed for us to scale. We realized the way we were doing it was a small-minded way of going about it, and it wasn't scalable to infinity.
No, I mean, eventually we were just going to run out of time. That was it.
Yeah.
There was him and his downline, me and mine, and just eventually you're tapped out. You're capped.
Yeah.
You can't do any more because there's not enough time in a day. That's it. Boom. So if you really wanted to grow, you're going to have to bring in those resources, break down some silos, and it really was kind of the linchpin of us moving forward significantly.
Sure.
I would agree. And I would also say, like, there's 18 years difference between David and myself. We've been working together a very long time.
No, not 18 years.
17.
Okay, keep going.
17 and 3/4.
Yes.
But I've known David since I was 11 years old when I was driving a moped up to Heritage Club. So I've known him the majority
Kind
of
of
my
love that
life.
story for you.
And it's pretty crazy how much we actually see eye to eye. So when we're making decisions collectively as a leadership team, there's not very often that we aren't aligned. There's not any drag out fights of like, I'm right, no, I'm right. We're pretty much aligned. And I'll say he's provided that vision, not only from the organizational standpoint of us getting to where we are today, but even talking about the philanthropy aspect. Like, I'll give David the credit. Like, me growing up, sure, I always wanted to give back to the community, but I didn't really know how to go about it. But learning from David and the planned giving aspect, like it was planned to give back to the community on an annual basis. That's something that it rang true to me, and I'm like, that's the perfect way of going about it. How can I do that? And how can we instill that into the organization as a whole?
Well, I think this is a perfect segue, Nick, so thank you. I do believe that you learn to give back, right? Philanthropy is a learned behavior, and I commend you for sharing that with Nick. But let's talk about how when I first met you, Nick, I think it was honestly that 7-8 years ago. I remember going to your Cinco de Mayo at your office off Union Center Boulevard. And I was just starting to get to know Nick. He's an up-and-comer and at that time. And talk about how you partnered with Northern Cincinnati Foundation, what happened to a close friend of yours and what you did to pull everybody together.
Yeah, so in 2015, one of my good friends, Corey Hood, grew up in Lakota. He was a Lakota kid, played sports, and he was part of the U.S. Army. He actually enlisted right after 9/11. He did 5 tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, then went into the Golden Knights parachute team. And he ended up passing away on U.S. soil in a freak accident in the Chicago Air and Water Show in 2015. So we had a group of buddies of mine, Lakota guys, all kind of got together and thought we'd raise some money in Corey's name after he passed. It was very tragic, terrible loss, but we wanted to do something right and continue to celebrate his legacy. So we thought we'd throw a golf outing, and we just threw a date on the calendar. So thought we'd get 60, 70 people together, maybe raise $5,000 as a scholarship. Maybe didn't really know what we were going to do with it or how it was all going to come together. And going back to my days at Heritage Club, well, I was doing golf outings for 10 years, so I kind of knew that game, but I didn't know the philanthropic aspect of it.
Right.
So I knew how to throw a good golf outing, didn't know how to raise the money and do all of that. So once we had that first golf outing, we sold out. We thought we'd have 70 golfers. We had 144 golfers. Instead of $5,000, we raised $46,000 that first year.
It's amazing.
Wildly successful. Nothing to do with me, all a tribute to Corey and his legacy. He touched so many lives. And we've continued that on even till this past year. But the philanthropic aspect is the one that I didn't have. And the partnership with the Northern Cincinnati Foundation provided that to me. And that's when you and I met, and you started talking to me about these words that were so confusing, like endowed funds and non-endowed funds and donor advised funds and things like that. And I was like, I don't know this world at all. I need a strategic advisor to kind of help us walk down this path together.
Sure.
And that's really what the Northern Cincinnati Foundation and yourself provided to me in that role, because we didn't want to become a nonprofit. We didn't want to have to figure out how to invest this money. Right. We actually, a testament to you would be, we probably, if we didn't meet, we probably would have spent the money as it came in and just given out all the money every single year. And
with no legacy or sustainability plan.
It wouldn't have been. You're absolutely right.
Well, from what I know too, there's the whole side of, that was $40,000 the first year. But now it's like up to what, 100 or 100?
Yeah, so it's been going
Guidance
on
like
since
this is becoming more important
absolutely.
as there's more funds to be
That's
dealing
right.
with, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so we did create a scholarship fund that goes to a Lakota student. We do have a local veterans and active service members fund now, and we also have a youth athletics fund,
So
all housed at the Northern Cincinnati Foundation.
thank you. And I have to say that for our listeners, I don't see, frankly, that millennial generation that much rally around a specific cause and really get super involved in philanthropy. It's actually statistically very low for the newer, younger generations, that they're not giving as much, not doing as much. And so your whole group is like this anomaly in philanthropy, and I love it. They're so motivated to honor Sergeant Corey Hood and this legacy. And now it's even spun off more, doing more good in the region, in the community. And frankly, it started with just this golf outing, right? And wanting to do something, wanting to give back to honor Corey. And now it's this in perpetuity thing that you've created that now you're going to, again, forever benefit a student, give a scholarship, and now you've created 2 additional funds in memory to honor your friend. And so I think it's phenomenal. I remember going to that first golf outing that you guys had, and I came to the dinner, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, I've never seen, usually, frankly, you go to these galas and the average age is 70. It just is. Mm-hmm. And those are the people giving back and buying the live auction packages and doing their duty to help support causes and give back to things that they believe in. And so to this day, I haven't seen an additional young generation doing this much, right? And it's just such a big group of you guys.
It's a lot of fun to. It sounds cliche, but it's a lot of work, and we have a big team that helps us out with it. But I get so much more out of it than I put into it. It's absolutely amazing. And to give you an idea, I mean, the first year we raised $46,000. This year we raised about $107,000 through 2 different events. We actually have expanded down to North Carolina because Fort Bragg, the Army guys and gals wanted to actually throw the event down there as well. And part of that was to celebrate us because we work so hard up here to throw the event that they all come up to. They wanted to have something down there. So the money behind the scenes, our goal in the next 4 to 5 years is to have the full thing endowed, all 3 funds, to be able to give out $22,500 in perpetuity forever in Corey's name, and we don't have to raise another dollar.
Yeah, which is such a gift.
And again, we wouldn't have done that without your guidance. We probably would have just given scholarships away every single year and felt really good about it, but it would have just
run its course. It would have run its course, and then when you guys were finished, it would be finished as well.
Yeah, I look at it right now. We have 400-something thousand in the funds. It's amazing, and it's going to continue to grow.
It is, and it really is amazing. And you think about it, and I think, frankly, even for money managers or, anyone in any sophisticated professional advisor role, unless they're intimately involved with nonprofits, they don't really understand what an endowment is. And so for our audience, I'll break it down in easy terms because I think this is the easiest way to think about it. If, Dave, you come in and you start the Good One Family Fund, you sell your business.
Is this a pitch?
It is. Okay. And you throw $1 million into that Good One Family Fund through your business sale one day as you exit the company, and we take on that S Corp if it's S Corp stock, then 4% spendable. You can pull from that. So $40,000 a year. And obviously that grows over time. And then your daughter can then run that family legacy fund and so on. And so it lives on forever. So it's this good that you're doing forever, and it's going to grow just like your retirement fund. You're pulling 4%. And again, it's going to continue to grow. And that's what you've done with those funds you've created. And it's a different way of thinking. You are thinking on a very long-term legacy scale. And I think, to me, that's more impactful than anything else, that you're thinking about sustainability of a program.
It really aligns with the way we started the Hoodie, or the reasons why we started the Hoodie and doing it the way we do it. So when you brought that to us, it was talking about long-term legacy. in long-term giving back to the local Westchester, Northern Cincinnati communities. Corey traveled all over the world saying how much he loved Westchester, how much he loved Cincinnati.
That's amazing.
So we wanted to create this legacy that continues to celebrate Corey, but also give back to the local community that he ultimately loved.
It's great.
A little plug on that because that's Nick's
Yes.
thing. But my wife and I, Lori, and I volunteer. And I will tell you, I had a cousin who was killed in a jet ski accident, but he was like on 2 tours to outer space with NASA. He was like Top Gun, just this phenomenal pilot. Just say that because he piloted both planes and what do you call those, shuttles, rockets, whatever.
Shuttles, yeah.
And he died in a freak accident jet skiing with his sons. And I was at Arlington National Cemetery, and I can tell you that is a very patriotic place, right?
Yes, it
the
is.
horse-drawn carriage, the
Definitely.
gun salute, the blood, all of it. I can tell you that hoodie that Nick puts on is probably the most patriotic thing I've seen on arguably the same as when I was at Arlington National Cemetery.
I agree.
It's special.
I agree. I golfed with 3 other women this year. This was my first time golfing in the hoodie, which was a lot of fun. And we, as women, we noticed the details. We were like, they even have American flags, at the flags on the pins, or the holes. And so that was I thought it was a very well done from start to finish golf outing. I've done a lot of golfings. I wouldn't say I'm a great golfer like any of you guys here or Lori. Your wife might have a better gin than all of us.
No, I'm back.
Are you?
Yeah. Ask her. I wasn't even supposed to participate in a couples thing. She was supposed to be playing with a friend of mine whose wife got sick. So, and they didn't think I could play, which I really didn't play. I hit some balls, but we still ended up taking.
Yeah, you hit it
most of
300 yards
somebody's
or
shots.
something like that. What was your
No.
best ever gin? Where does your gin sit when, like the best of Dave?
Probably 1.5.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
really good.
I play with a lot of guys better than that, so it's all relative.
It is all relative,
Yeah.
isn't it? So before we end today, I've been asking CEOs across the board and leadership teams across the board, if you had a bug out bag, so this means the world is ending, doomsdares, right? What are some things, maybe 4, each of you would put in that bug out bag that you just are like, I have to have this if the world is ending? Apocalyptic event. Dave, what are the 4 things you're taking in your bug out bag? I've heard it all, just so you know.
Can anything
Anything
is that
flies.
big? Does that bag have any size to it, or it's as big
It's a
as you want?
backpack. It's a backpack.
That's it?
Yeah.
So I
4
can't say
things.
like my family.
Well, that's sweet. That is sweet. So sure, you can say that. You can.
You're going out. Who do you want to go out with?
Yeah, your family. So that's
My
2.
family, probably
Is
a
that
bunch of
2?
my boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not really caring what we're doing because we don't have too many days left.
Right.
But if I can't, and I want to put them in a body bag. That's a different thing. So if I just had to have a bag that I couldn't put a person in,
Yes. Hopefully they're coming with you,
I don't know how popular this would be, but I would probably say I would have a gun.
Yeah.
If it's apocalyptic time,
That's a
everybody's
popular answer.
anything that you have,
Yes.
somebody's going to want it,
Right.
right? That would be one thing. Just basic need would be you need water more than you need food or anything else.
Yes.
You got to have water. Am I doomsday prepping right here?
Yeah, you're doing it.
Starting to sound
you
like
have
it.
2. You have 2 more that you're allowed
Should I
to
say I'd
bring.
have a bunch of cash, like dollar bills?
I mean,
Those aren't
I
going to
don't
be
know
worth
what good.
anything.
Yeah, I would trade on something else probably, but
I don't know. I mean, when you want the necessities,
you would.
right? So I'd have to
We
have.
got to move past the necessities.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's
That's-
more fun.
Yeah.
But if you're
Right.
asking me what would I do, my logical left brain analytical person would say,
Yes.
I need a gun to keep myself and my family safe. I need some water. I'm going to have to have some dried food that I can just add water to.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have something else in there that I don't know, but it's a necessity, right?
Right.
Maybe toilet paper is COVID
Yeah,
taught
is
us.
that it? I think you're gonna have to use leaves. Now, Nick,
That was super, like, what do I necessarily need?
Yes, yes. I've heard extreme answers on bug out bags. Like one is like a fun take, and one is like
Yeah.
more like your answer. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, more like toilet paper.
Yes, yes. Gotta have it.
Can
Well,
only
when
use
you
5
first,
squares.
I'm giving you the answers that first come to mind. I'm bringing my laptop because it doesn't go anywhere without me.
Oh my goodness.
I would say a pair of running shoes,
Okay.
because that's every morning. I don't know if I have 4. You got to have peanut butter pretzels.
Oh my goodness. That's
core
a
food
good
group.
one. I like that
It's
one.
core
Yeah.
food group. And as crazy as it sounds, I outside of the family and everything, the dogs are coming with us.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to have the dogs.
I like both sets of answers,
He has
and
2
I think
dogs.
it's
I
the
have 2
yin and the
dogs.
yang here. By the way, I think you guys are on the
Complement each other
same.
pretty well.
Yeah, I really do. I think you guys really do complement each other very well. And every now and then, you guys surprise me on the who's more left or right brain answers. You're both pretty left, but I was pegging you for way more right brain answers on the bug out bag.
Well, I
so.
mean, was it just like you should have said something like a bucket list or something like that? Then bucket list bag.
Then you're ready.
Then we can
you're
do like
ready.
really fun stuff.
That
But
would be way
otherwise,
more fun.
necessities.
Maybe next year. You gave me the idea to birth a bucket list and question and answer. So I think we should do that. So today, before we end, what's the takeaway that you would say or advice you would give to young individuals that are wanting to enter the tech industry? What would be your advice?
My number one thing, and it's really solidified over time, and it was this is a pill that I had to take over and over. But then when I got doing it, I saw the benefit, and that's you got to get outside your comfort zone. Do things that you don't want to do. See people you don't want to see. Talk to people you don't want to talk to. Do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Do them with people that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, but literally just get outside your comfort zone, because you're always going to gravitate toward the things that are easy and that you like and what have you, people that you like. That's always easy. But the greatest area for growth is when you get outside that comfort zone. Yeah. And there are and I was one of them, I think too many young people haven't heard that enough, or maybe ever. And they might be, quite frankly, even though they may have this false bravado, confidence, roaring self-esteem down underneath.
That's right.
It might be they might feel a little vulnerable, and they don't realize that vulnerability to some degree is okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. My mom always gave me that advice. If something scares you, that means you have to tackle it.
Yeah, probably
in the workplace or whatever it is. Immediately. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I don't want to? As a young, I think she gave me that advice at 25, and it best advice. So
Sage
I think
advice.
That's great advice.
I wish somebody told me younger.
A little scary.
We talk about that a lot, and I would echo that. If it feels uncomfortable, that probably means you should do it and do it immediately.
That's amazing. Well,
that's where the growth happens.
We're not talking about the hair standing on your neck because you're in an unsafe.
Not
that kind
Thanks
of
for the clarification on that, Dave. It does
make sure that we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
That has its place.
I have to say thank you both for taking time with us today on the What Gives podcast. Dave and Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure, and just keep working hard.
Thanks for having us.
To learn more about how to expand your philanthropy, please reach out to the Northern Cincinnati Foundation. What Gives is produced and distributed by King Hightower Strategies.